Hey everyone, welcome to the Seller Growth Podcast. I'm Rob Stanley, Chief Marketing Officer for AccrueMe. And today I got Sam Kotch. He's one of the co-founders of AccrueMe. And of course, we're going to be talking today about how to grow your Amazon profits and business fast. And we actually have some real examples, right, Sam?
Yep.
Yeah,
we sure
this
do.
is going to be super cool. We got some actual data and actual information we're going to be talking about from some actual customers of ours. Of course, we changed their name to protect them, but all the data is true that Sam will be talking about today, and how people have used AccrueMe to really grow, and like not just grow a little bit, like we're talking a lot. So Sam, we have all these clients, and I think you said it was like a 5x since they started working with us. Why don't you tell a little bit more about that, a little bit about the background story of what you can share at least, and tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. Yeah. So, a few of our partners that we've been working with now for just over 2 years, really, they were one of our first partners. And when we first started with them, we weren't really sure what we were going to do. Really, when we first started with AccrueMe, how is this going to work? How is our model going to actually work for Amazon sellers? It's totally unique. It's totally new. There's nothing that's ever been done like this before. How's it all going to work? So now, after about 2 years of working together, we've been able to really dig into the data and see how are they able to grow their business and profits so fast and so quickly. So when we first started with this partner, they were one of our firsts, and I believe we have a case study on our website, AccrueMe.com, that you guys can check out and really dig into the data and see, how they actually did this with real numbers, all verified. And basically they came to us and they already had a profitable Amazon business. So that was really the key. They'd been on Amazon for probably a year at that point. They made all the common mistakes that every Amazon seller, every business owner makes when you first get started, but it was all a learning experience. And then they came to us and they were generating a profit, and they knew that if they had more capital, they could grow their business really fast. So again, the key was they were profitable, and then they were out there looking for, well, how am I going to fund this additional growth? They had created a ton of opportunities for themselves, and they just needed the capital. So they did what any smart business owner would do. They looked at all their options as an Amazon seller, all their traditional type of loans, some of the cash advance type things, and everything else that's out there. And then they came and stumbled across AccrueMe, and we actually met them at an event when those were still happening pre-COVID, and we explained the model to them. We explained the no payments, keep it all in the business to grow quickly. It's a totally unique profit share where we only make money if our partners do, make a profit. We do better when you do better. They analyzed all their options and realized that with AccrueMe, they would be able to grow their business really fast. So fast forward about 2 years.
Hey, Sam, hold on. A question actually already came in. So sure. You kind of brushed over this a little bit. I think we need to highlight this a little bit more. So obviously I know the answer, but you tell everybody.
Sure.
You're saying no monthly payments and no interest. Like, cover that a little bit more on how that works, and then jump back into what you're talking about. Because sure. I think we want to make sure that we're clear to everybody on how that works.
Totally. Yeah. So I think the story of how this all came together, AccrueMe and our model came together. So myself and a few of the other founders, Don and Eric, we were at an investor meeting in New York. We were talking about Amazon sellers, and we saw an article, I think it was in the Wall Street Journal, that how most of them are third-party sellers. It's not all on Amazon. And we tried to figure out, well, how can we partner with these guys and help them really grow? We looked at all the options out there. We didn't like any of them. They were marketed great, but they really didn't help the seller grow. There were high interest rates, very fast terms, so you'd always have to be taking cash flow out of the business. And we basically came up with this idea of how about we partner with them, totally different than any of our finance backgrounds. How about we partner with sellers? We'll double their capital that they have so they can immediately take advantage of opportunities that they've created for themselves to grow. And in exchange, we'll get a share of the profit. And to even make it better, we won't require any payments. So again, going with the whole growth theme, you don't have to pay AccrueMe every month, like pretty much everything else that's out there. You decide when it's right for your business to pay us our investment back, our share of the profit. It is totally up to you. So in that other example of Gary and Joy, they didn't make any payments for the first 18 months. They kept all of our capital, all of our share of the profit in the business. And as a result, they were able to keep buying more inventory, working with more suppliers, getting more listings up on Amazon. And they grew their business to just humongous numbers. So just to give you a little teaser, They went from before working with AccrueMe to doing just about $90,000 in revenue and $10,000 in profit. Again, they were profitable, and those were their numbers. After working with us for about 2 years, they did just under $800,000 in revenue and $120,000 in profit. And that was after our share of the profit. So you can see how they went from 10 to 130. And again, if you ask them, they'll say, yeah, it was a big part of it was your capital. By not making payments, we were able to just keep growing really quick. But they also created a great business. They just needed capital. And that's who we're really looking to partner with, our sellers that they know if I had double the money, I could double my revenue and not profit. Nothing happens overnight, but within a few months. And that's exactly what Gary and Joy did. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect answer. So just real quick, everybody, be sure to hit that like and subscribe. We really do appreciate it. And put some, if you have any questions, put them in the comment section. We'll be happy to answer them. We did get a little bit of shout outs from a couple people, just real quick. Nice little hi. Hello, everybody. Appreciate it. Algo Online's checking in, so we always appreciate them. So yeah, just a couple quick things. The video that Sam is referencing right now, we are going to have that video at the end of this video. So we're not going to actually play it, but it will be available on our YouTube channel. So you'll be able to click on it. And also, I will actually tell you how to get to the video at the end of this video. But I want to keep Sam on here and not just like have you jump off to the video, because he's going to cover more detail of this video. And it gives you a chance to actually ask questions as he's covering it. So one of the things I know we've, oh, here another hi, Sam, right? Everybody loves Sam. He's
hey,
awesome,
Jack.
Right?
Yep, I know Jack well. He's a great partner. Jack? Yep.
Oh, nice.
Hey,
nice.
Jack. Yep.
Super cool. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate that. So be sure to hit that like and that thumbs up. We do appreciate that. But Sam, so I mean, I know because I talk to customers and you do too all day long. And let's talk a little bit about how to be profitable. Like, know your numbers. You got to know your numbers. And that's one thing that we hear a lot is, you know, they say they know what their numbers are on their inventory and how much profit they're making. Then sometimes we dive in there and they're not always exactly the same. Talk about that a little more for us. So that way people maybe, you know, if they're thinking about coming to AccrueMe to get some funding, they can just kind of maybe do a little extra work to make sure that it's a little easier when they do approach us.
Right. Totally. Yeah. So that's a great point. And I think it's NetSuite that says if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. And that's totally true, whether it's with Amazon or any other business. But Amazon, it's particularly true because with all the Amazon fees, PPC fees, product design fees, all these things, you have to know exactly how much money you're investing and what your profit is. If you don't, the worst thing you can do is keep going because you have to know if you're making a profit. You shouldn't raise capital until you know that you are profitable. So what we always recommend, what we see most of the really successful partners that we work with, what they've done is they've made all the mistakes. They've done it with just using a spreadsheet, or they've done it by hand, or they've used a more traditional type bookkeeper. And then they finally go to something, like a seller lab platform or an inventory lab, or one of these type of designed specifically for Amazon sellers to show you all the Amazon fees, all your costs. You have to get a real idea. Well, if it costs me this much to manufacture plus this much in tariffs. If you're private label, it costs me this much to ship it in. You got to know all those things and then make sure that you're able to make a profit. So, of course, if you're launching a new product, it's a little bit of a totally new, scary world out there once you get started. But then after you do start testing, you should know if you're profitable before you do any type of reorders moving forward. So again, number one is use a portal, some type of accounting platform that's designed specifically for Amazon sellers to know if you're profitable. When you start working with AccrueMe, we give you a portal that we've designed to be one of the most accurate and keep everything tracked so you know how much profit you're making. And again, we like to know that too, because we always try to help our sellers make more profit, because the better they do, the better we're going to do. So we're all about profit, helping you grow, make more money. So I would say the number one is, again, use a platform. If you work with AccrueMe, you already have access to that. The other one is, in terms of profit, we've seen time and time again from some of the less experienced sellers, they'll have one supplier or one product, and they go all in and use most of their capital to buy something because they got a 5% discount if they bought 3 times the amount. Now, that's the worst thing you could do, because with any business, but particularly Amazon, a lot can happen in the market. A lot can happen on Amazon. We know how fickle Amazon can be, how competitors can be, how brands can be. You don't ever want to go all in on any one product. It's the biggest way to lose money quickly or potentially put yourself out of business. So again, make smart buying decisions, diversify your products, diversify the suppliers you're working with. If you're a private label seller, we always suggest don't buy more than 3 months of inventory. Even if you get a little bit of a price savings, it's better to have a little bit less and then do a reorder. That way you're not totally at risk with all your capital and you can invest it in more products and stuff like that. So again, we always say just make sure you know your numbers and then don't go all in on a product. It's the same with stocks, with anything. Too much of anything can be a bad thing. So make sure you know that you're only buying a month to 3 months worth of product, and make sure you know your numbers and you got to be checking it every single day. You got to be looking at your numbers, and that's just business in general. So hopefully that gives you guys a good sense.
Yeah, that's good information and definitely something that people should do. So yeah, so what he was talking about on the partner, we do have a partner page. You can head over to AccrueMe.com, go to the very bottom of the page in the footer there. You'll see there is a partner page. You can take a look at some of the partners. And like Sam said, we do actually, if you're working with us, we have some tools to help you also. But there is some more advanced tools out there, obviously, depending on what you're looking for. So we do need to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. So hang tight right after this commercial break.
This content is brought to you by AccrueMe, the business-friendly funding solution for Amazon sellers. If you're a profitable Amazon seller looking for capital to grow your profits, click the link around this video or visit AccrueMe.com for a no-risk funding estimate in less than 3 minutes.
Yeah, so if you head on over to AccrueMe.com and fill out that free 3-minute estimate, there is no commitment. You don't have to make a commitment at that point. It's just trying to get some basic information from you. Be sure to mention Seller Growth Podcast or Rob Podcast or AccrueMe Podcast. I'd appreciate that. So I know you haven't mentioned on this one, but I know you and I have been on so many meetings together. You have talked about bringing on capital to match your goals. Tell us a little bit more what you mean by that, Sam.
Right. Yeah. So what we always talk about is not all capital is the same or is equal. So you have to match your capital solution with what you're trying to accomplish with your business. So number one, you have to make sure you're profitable. The worst thing you can do is bring on additional funds, whether it's your own funds, family and friends, a loan, equity, whatever it is, AccrueMe. The worst thing you can do is bring on money and not be profitable with what you're already doing. Number two, you have to already have the opportunities created to put that money to work. Again, if you take on money and you let it sit there and don't generate a return, it's going to be A, really hard for you to grow, and B, it could potentially put your business at risk because you're taking on, whether it's AccrueMe or any type of money, you have to be able to put it to work immediately to grow your business. Don't do that unless you know exactly where to invest. So really, again, this kind of goes back to why we started AccrueMe in the first place. We looked at Amazon sellers, whether you're wholesale or private label, they were doing fantastic. They were on the biggest marketplace in the world, selling products from A to Z. They were doing so well. And then we saw all the funding solutions out there, and we just didn't like any of what we saw. Don and Eric have a very deep finance background. I have a finance background. I've invested in companies, really ever since I left college, and we just didn't like any of the things we saw. Again, the high interest, the very fast payback terms were really the worst. So we came up with a new solution that allows sellers to grow quickly. One, you don't have to make payments. So you're keeping all the money, all of our capital in the business to grow really quickly, whether that's to grow to a sale if you're private label, or if you just want to turn it into a massive business and become the next OtterBox or whatever brand it is. You want to make sure that you're taking on capital that's going to let you do that. So what we did was we came up with AccrueMe, and not just the payments. That's huge in of itself because, and I think Mark was on, one of my other partners, Mark was on here talking about Einstein returns. If you're able to keep money in the business and compound growth, you're going to get to your goal much faster. That's the whole theme of this podcast is how do you get to your goal of turning your Amazon business into a massive business? Well, number one is don't kill cash flow. So you've got to make sure, and especially with Amazon, with the way that they make payments and they hold back money, and the way that when you buy inventory, it takes sometimes 3 months to send it over from wherever it is. Cash flow is the key to this business. Turning over your inventory is the key. So that's why we've developed this where you don't have to make payments until it's right for you. So just to give you a sense of what a lot of our partners do, when we invest with them, they won't make any payments during Q3 and Q4. And again, this is not for every Amazon seller. Some people are more seasonal than others, but for the most part, during Q3 and Q4, that is their biggest sales month and profit quarters. So what they do is they take as much capital from us, they put it in products and suppliers that they've already have scouted out. This isn't anything new for them. And then they invest it. They have a great Q3 and Q4. They make a ton in profit. They make a ton of profit for their business. And then they'll pay us down a little bit, not all, a little bit, because during Q1 and Q2, it's a little bit of a slower month for them. So, and it just makes sense. If you don't have the capital, if you don't have buying opportunities, you don't need the capital just sitting in the bank. It's the worst thing you can do with AccrueMe. It's the worst thing you can do with any capital you bring on. Yeah, and I would say and I hope that answered the question, Rob. I kind of got off track there. So, yeah.
That's okay. I told you, to keep going because, Sam's got lots of great information. But yeah, I do have a few more questions for you. So
sure.
Let's talk a little bit about like when people do get the funding. Okay. First of all, let's make it clear, like just because we approve you up to a certain amount doesn't mean you have to take that full amount. So let's touch
100%.
on that. Tell everybody the proper way to take that money and the wrong way to take that money that they get from AccrueMe and what to do with it.
Right. Great question and very important. So the first thing to do is once you're profitable, like Rob said, just go right through the app.accrueme.com. And from there, you can either schedule a call with me and myself, and usually Don. We're really invested in learning more about sellers and how they're doing and what their goals are and how we can help and invest with them. So go through there, either schedule a call or just get an investment proposal from us. So once you're profitable, you come to AccrueMe, we'll double your capital. So if you have $10,000 that you're working with now to buy products and to sell on Amazon, we'll give you another $10,000. Now, that said, you don't have to take all of it. We always suggest start with whatever you have that you can deploy in new products and profitable products right away. Because again, the worst thing you can do is take on our capital and just let it sit in the bank, because then you're not getting any bang for your buck. So again, there's no requirement to take it all. If we give you 10,000, you can take all 10,000. You can take 5,000, 2,000, whatever you need to put to work right away. And what's really unique about us is just because you don't take it all, the amount that we approve you for will always be available to you. So if you need another $1,000 the next day, or if you need all, the remaining 10,000 in a week, it's in your account within an hour, so you can start putting it. We don't want you to ever miss any buying opportunity. So once you know how much we can give you from AccrueMe, it's available to you to use at any time, and you can take it whenever you want to grow.
Yeah, we did have actually a question come in. This is a great question. I was going to actually ask it, but somebody was asking basically about like, what's the requirements to, basically get approved from AccrueMe. Why don't you go over that with them? We probably should have covered that earlier, but let's tell everybody what's the kind of minimum requirements we're looking for to qualify.
Right. Yep. Great question. So what we're really looking for now are profitable Amazon sellers. You have to be selling on the U.S. marketplace for now. We're looking to expand into other markets like Canada, Mexico, some places in Europe. But number one, selling on the U.S. Amazon marketplace and profitably selling on Amazon. So if you're profitable on Amazon and you're using an Inventory Labs now or whatever the platform is and you're profitable, you should definitely come talk to us. And I think the biggest key for it really to work for you as a seller, you have to have opportunities to grow. So you have to be saying, well, if I had double the capital from AccrueMe and I didn't have to make payments and I could really grow, I know exactly which products to buy, which suppliers I would work with on day one. And then what you'll see is once you use our capital to start growing, within 2 months, you'll start seeing your revenue and profit increase because you're putting that money to work and you're going to start reaping the rewards of doing that. So just really high level, selling on the US Amazon marketplace for now, selling for 6 months profitably. And really that's our only requirement, and have growth opportunities. And if you're looking at AccrueMe or any type of capital, whether it's your own capital, friends or family, AccrueMe, you have to have opportunities to grow and put the money to work right away to start making a return for your business.
Yeah, and I'm going to also toss in there that make sure you don't have any other outstanding loans. That is one thing that we've heard. But, one quick question that does come up, Sam, that I want you to touch on a little bit is you talk about how they need to be selling on the U.S. Amazon marketplace. But what if they're outside the U.S. selling on the Amazon marketplace? Just touch on that a smidge.
Yeah, great question. And we work with sellers all over the world. So as long as you're selling on the US marketplace, so your brands are listed on Amazon.com, we can work with you. The only requirement is to have a US LLC, a limited liability company. It's very quick and easy to form that company. And a lot of our seller partners that are international already have an LLC. And if they don't, they have no problem forming it because they're trying to get to the point of, selling their business or some type of thing. And pretty much all investors or, we have a great program coming up with Elevate that acquires Amazon businesses. They're going to want to work with a US LLC to start. So either they already have it or that's formed. So I'll go a little bit more into that great program that we have coming up a little bit later. So yes, as long as you're selling on the US marketplace, we can work with you.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Now, coming up next, we are going to do a quick commercial break, but coming up, stay tuned because I want to have Sam go over more of the numbers of this case study that he did and how amazing these people did and talk a little more about it. So hang tight 1 second. All sellers are looking to grow their business. Why not take advantage of the AccrueMe.com Grow Now and Pay Later option? AccrueMe is not a bank. They truly only win when you win with growth capital funding. What are you waiting for? Head on over to AccrueMe.com now. Be sure to mention the podcast. Yeah, so welcome back to the Seller Growth Podcast. And I got Sam Kotch from AccrueMe. He's one of the co-founders. And we're talking about how to grow your Amazon profits and business fast. And specifically, we're going to start talking a little bit more about this case study that we did, which is on the AccrueMe website. You can head on over there. Sam did a great video even that has all kinds of charts and graphs and real data. This is real data. This isn't just made up stuff. Now, the names are made up, but the actual data is true. So, Sam, maybe cover a little more this case study and some of the results from it.
Sure. Yeah. So with Gary and Joy, and again, like Rob said, you can go right on the website and find that video that we put together that shows the actual numbers, all verified. And just to go to the high level, when Gary and Joy came to us, they had a profitable business. So that was check one. Check two, they knew they already created more opportunities for themselves to buy products from suppliers than they had cash. So they were just looking for the right capital partner for them to grow. They came to AccrueMe. They did all their research on everything that was out there and available to them. They came to us. They loved what we were doing. They realized how powerful not making payments could be for their business. And just a quick aside, they were actually talking to their son-in-law, who was a financial analyst or something like that. And he goes, I've never heard of anything like that. The fact that they're letting you do that, take as much money as you can and let me know if they have, some for me. So it really is totally different and unique. And that's why sometimes it takes a little bit more explaining. And we love, making sure that all of our partners totally get what we're doing. So anyway, back to the example. So they came to us, we doubled their capital. They had about $20,000 of their own savings invested in their Amazon business, buying, in terms of inventory and selling on Amazon. So we gave them another $20,000 to grow. So with our additional $20,000, and I think I mentioned this, when they first started without us, they were doing about $90,000 in revenue a year and about $9,000 in profit. And they kept all the profit, but they knew there was more. So they came to us, we doubled their capital. Now they had $40,000 to grow their business. So you could see right away, they started making more orders. They doubled the amount of suppliers they could work with on day one. Within a month, all the capital was out in inventory, and you could see it start turning and selling on Amazon. And in no time, they were already compounding that growth and keep reordering and keep growing. And again, I think the key is too, when these partners place orders, they do them very small, very diversified, and they always reorder. So they'll probably order from the same supplier twice a month, but they do it spread out, and that way their eggs aren't all in one basket. And they're not risking all their capital. So anyway, a year later, after working with us, they went from the $90,000 in revenue and $9,000 in profit. And I don't have the exact numbers, but I believe it was about $350,000 in revenue. And their profit went up to $40,000. And when I say $40,000, that's what they brought home for themselves, even after AccrueMe's profit share, which they didn't pay any of our profit share or investment back for 18 months. So now that growth was incredible enough. And I wish I had the exact, when we did the case study, it was growth by 333% or some crazy number. And again, a lot of credit goes to Gary and Joy because they created a great business and they just needed capital to grow. And then they kept growing and kept investing the money and worked extremely hard, which is a key part with any business, but especially Amazon. So then we fast forwarded to 2020. So this is about 18 months after working with us. They then increased their revenue again. So from about $350,000 to just under $700,000 in revenue. And even more amazingly, they took home about $120,000 in profit. And again, I know it's 100 plus. It's either between 120 and 140, and it's in the case study. And that was after our share of the profit. And then they finally started making payments 18 months later to AccrueMe. And they didn't pay it all down because they were still growing, and they'll probably double those numbers this year. But what they did was they had so much cash in the business because they just completely grew their business in 2 years by amazing numbers. So first they would pay us down a few $1,000s here. Then the payments started getting bigger, $5,000 here. And before no time, I'm not sure how much longer they'll even need our capital because they're so big, but we're still working with them. And they were able to grow really quickly. And now they have a fully sustainable business. So just a few key points. One, they didn't pay us anything for 18 months. So you guys that are out there that have worked with, whether it's other providers out there or other capital, no one else, maybe a rich uncle or a family member, is not going to require payments. So that makes us very unique, and that makes you able to grow really quickly. Number two, there was a few months where some of our partners just had a few bad months. During COVID, they couldn't send products in. So if you don't make profit in a month, we don't earn any profit in a month either. So we've really set this up to be a total win-win and reduce some of your risk by, if you have a bad month, forget having to make a payment. You don't owe us anything in a bad month. So we're really in it with you together. The better you do, the better we do. And one last key point. So Gary and Joy, throughout this relationship, they had living expenses, they had business expenses. So they were able to take out, even while growing that business, over $120,000 just to cover their living expenses. And basically what they did was they would just pull out their profit every single month. Like clockwork, they'd say, hey, send us X amount of dollars, but they didn't want to pay us. So we kept our profit in, and they were able to use our money to grow. And now they have a much larger business. So, and that's how we set it up. We want you guys to do really well. And the better you do, the better we're going to do.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I got this right. So if you head over to AccrueMe, there's a tab at the top and it says, why AccrueMe? Click that tab at the top. It's only, I went and looked, it was like a 9-minute video. So if you want those actual details, including, by the way, and this is awesome, it will show you how much AccrueMe got. Like, we are showing you how much we got back, because people always say, well, I understand, I get the money and we're going to make money, but how much am I giving you at the end here? That's all covered in that case study. So head on over to AccrueMe.com. It says why AccrueMe at the very top. Click on that and you can watch the 9-minute video that Sam did. And it's absolutely awesome. I think it's amazing. And I'm glad that you did it, because it's one of the first things I talked about. I think shortly after I came on board, I'm like, we got to get a case study. We got to get more like examples and actual information. So Let's also talk about and I've been on calls and so have you, Sam, but a lot of people, they'll say, oh, great, I'm going to take this money. I got this new product I'm going to launch. Talk about why you don't necessarily want to do that and why we're not the right source for that.
Right. Yeah. Great point. So for us, the most important thing is we're not like any other traditional funding option out there for Amazon sellers. We don't just look at what your Amazon balance is or what your credit score is or any of that. We look at your whole business as a whole. So we look to see, well, how much money do they have invested in inventory? What is their Amazon balance? And between those two things, we'll match that capital. So, but to Rob's point, we're only looking to partner with proven profitable sellers. Now, the reason for that is really simple. We only earn a profit if you earn a profit. So if you're earning a profit and you know exactly where you want to deploy capital to grow really quickly, and you can double your business with double or more with double the capital, we're the perfect partner for you, and you can keep compounding your growth with AccrueMe. Now, if you're either kind of new or you just got started and you haven't gone through the learning curve that every business owner goes through, we're not really set up to work with you. Now, that said, we'll always get on a call with you. We're happy to talk. And then when you're ready, you can always reach out, and you always have my contact information to get started. But related to Rob's question, this really applies to private label or small brand owners. What they work with AccrueMe for is they'll already have an existing brands or a few listings on Amazon that are doing great. So they come to AccrueMe and we fund that product. We fund those profitable products for them. And what that does, it frees up other resources, other cash to launch a new product. Once they launch that product for 2 months and there's a profitable track record that we can see through our data, we will immediately match them, and they basically roll that in and then go on to their next product. So they always know that AccrueMe will fund their existing products, keep that core business going. It frees up capital for them to, develop new products and new brands and get it going. And then once it is profitable, they come to us, they roll it in, we give them more cash, and then they go out and do another one. And that's how we've seen some of our best private label sellers just grow quickly by starting a few products. We fund it, they go out, launch their new ones, and then once they're profitable after 2 months, we invest, and they just have AccrueMe there in the background, always funding their core business so they can try new things. And that's a key to growing. You have to smartly, take risks and work with a new supplier. Try out a test order of a few products that you're not sure about. If you're a private label seller, you gotta test new products, but do it smartly. Do it efficiently when you pay for your PPC on Amazon, or when you buy from a supplier in China. Make sure you really know who you're working with. And I'm sure, Rob, you've heard stories of people that work with a supplier in China and they don't get a sample and it ends up being a disaster. So just make sure when you're growing, you have to take risks, but you have to take smart risks when you grow. And for AccrueMe, we're there to make sure that what you've already built, your profitable, successful business, will always be funded, will always be growing. And that allows you as a private label seller to go out and start new things, knowing that AccrueMe always has your back with what you built and will always be keeping cash flow up for you to grow and try new things. So hopefully that answers it. Yeah. No,
that's perfect. That's perfect. So thanks again, everybody, for joining in. But hit that like and subscribe. We got a little more to go. So this will kind of be, we're going to have to do a quick commercial break. But during it, we got a chance here. Put some questions in that comment section. I mean, there's got to be some questions out there, I'm sure. And I've got some more questions. Oh, we're getting some right now. But we're going to do a quick commercial break, come back, and we're going to talk a little bit about how AccrueMe figures out what their percentage is. And we're going to make Sam go into that a little bit deeper, which is definitely one you want to hear. So hang tight.
This content is brought to you by AccrueMe, the business-friendly funding solution for Amazon sellers. If you're a profitable Amazon seller looking for capital to grow your profits, click the link around this video or visit AccrueMe.com for a no-risk funding estimate in less than 3 minutes.
Yeah, so once again, it's just a 3-minute instant funding estimate. It literally takes 3 minutes to fill out the form. There's no commitment. We're not asking for like bank information. We're just asking you to fill out some basic information, and then Sam or Don or somebody on our great team will get a hold of you and actually talk to you. I mean, Sam's a co-founder, so is Don, and they're going to talk to you. So if you have questions or you want to know more about this, I mean, if you haven't, something here you don't want to necessarily ask a question, get a hold of him. Just go over there and get a hold of him. And we'll give out Sam's information on how to contact him towards the end of the show here. We do have a couple, I think, questions are, we do have a couple questions coming in. David is asking, what's my next step? Go over to AccrueMe, fill out that form. It's 3 minutes. And, Sam or Don will get a hold of you. That's how easy that is. In fact, Sam or Don will even try to get a hold of you today. They'll do their best to try to get a hold of you today. If not, definitely by tomorrow. We're usually within a 1 business day turnaround or less. And most of the time it's less. And then Algo, do you prefer working with a certain Amazon selling strategy? That's a good question.
Yeah. So we work with both wholesale, so people that are buying brand name products and selling them on Amazon FBA. We also work with a lot of private label sellers. So what we've seen before, a lot of the sellers that can grow really, really quickly, it's really a combination of both. So with the wholesale, it's a lot easier, I think, for them to take the capital and deploy it in existing profitable products really quickly. But what we've seen with private label is once they get that product and that listing up and they're able to maintain their stock, so one of the biggest problems that private label sellers have is they have a great product, they get it launched on Amazon, it sells out even better than they could have imagined, and then next thing you know, they're out of inventory, they're waiting 3 months to get something manufactured and shipped from China, their listing gets totally ruined, there's competitors coming on, they don't have the ranking anymore, they try to relaunch, and then they have to spend way more in PPC or marketing just to get back to where they were. So that's why we always suggest, if you're a private label seller, you're dealing with China, we always, if you can, depending on the product, some things are too heavy or won't work, but if you can, even if it costs a good amount more, it's usually worth trying to get the stuff shipped via air. And again, I know it's not possible for every private label seller, but if you can, the key with Amazon is staying in stock and turning over your inventory quickly. So even if you go from a 50% profit to a 20% because of the air shipping, in almost every case, it's worth it. And then you can always have some inventory coming on the boat. But if you can, always stay in stock so you don't lose the listing. So Algo, to answer your question, we work with whether you're wholesale or private label. We love working with both of them, and we don't have a preference. As long as you're profitable and you have places to put the money to grow right away, we'd love to work with you.
Yeah, that was perfect. So we're going to back up to that question I was asking on how AccrueMe, how do they get their cut? How does it work? When it comes to AccrueMe getting some of their money, when you decide to finally start making back those payments. Let's go ahead and touch on that. And then right after he's done with that, we're going to wrap up real quick. I'll give you the contact information for Sam and how to get a hold of us. But go ahead, Sam.
Sure. Yeah. So, and I'll just use Gary and Joy since we've been talking about them on this podcast. Again, when they came to us, they had $20,000 in their business. We gave them another 20. So we doubled our capital. We basically represented 50% of the cash or capital in the business. So the way that it works is we get half of whatever our capital percentage is. So you guys are probably thinking, well, if you're putting in 50% of the capital, don't you want 50% of the profit? And that's what you would think, but that's not how we set it up. We want to make this a totally no-brainer win-win for Amazon sellers. So we basically get half of whatever our capital percentage is. So with Gary and Joy, we were half in month 2. I'm just going to make up a number. They made a certain amount of profit, $1,000 in profit. So that month they kept $750. We got $250 because we get 25% if we're half. Now, again, if we only represent 30% of the capital, we get 15%. So we make 150. It's all a function of that. And we track it all in our portal, which you guys have access to and can see exactly how it is. We do it every day. So you can see it and it's very clear. So basically what they did was said, okay, yep, you guys earned $250 in profit this month. I'm going to add it to my $20,000. And they did that for 18 months. So they would just keep adding it to our AccrueMe capital. At the end of 18 months, they started paying it down, a few $1,000s here, $5,000 here. So that's basically how it works. And throughout that time, what they were doing was taking out their profit every month so they could use it for living expenses, vacations, whatever it was they needed it for. So that's basically how it works. Or we have some partners that just want to pay us every single month our share of the profit. So in that same scenario, if we earn $250, they say, hey guys, take out $250, and we do it whenever you want us to do it. So it's totally up to you whether you let it accrue, which most of our partners do because they want to use and keep cash flow in their business going and not pay us. Or if you want to pay us every month, that works too. So it's totally up to you.
Yeah, and
is that
just
clear, Rob?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And I had a couple of people I've talked to were a little confused. Like when I would tell them that scenario, and you said, hey, you make $750 and we keep $250 that month. It doesn't mean, like he just said, you don't have to. It's not like we're going to say, hey, we want that $250 right now. You decide when you pay us. In fact, we prefer you to not, because we want you to keep using that money to grow that business. And $250 might be a small amount, but when you start getting into the bigger numbers, you want to keep rolling that money and keep buying more inventory and keep growing the company. That's definitely what you want to do. I mean, that's what it's all about. So real quick, if I miss something, Sam, let me know. And, let's cover whatever it is I missed before I give your contact information out. Was there anything else I maybe missed? Or and we appreciate everybody coming on and watching and listening to us. And of course, head on over to AccrueMe.com, fill out that free 3-minute estimate. But was there anything else I missed there, Sam?
No, I think you really covered it all, Rob. And
Perfect.
If you guys are looking to grow and you have opportunities to grow and you need capital, I'm sure you're like any sophisticated business owner. You're looking at all your options. Definitely go to the app.AccrueMe. It takes 3 minutes. You'll get a funding estimate of exactly what we can do. And then from there, you can set up a call with me and we really try to understand what you're trying to do, what your growth opportunities are. And then from there, we give you a full proposal and it tells you exactly how much we can invest, some of the key terms of working with AccrueMe. And then from there, we get you funded very quickly. So as little as, 4 to 5 business days, we can get you funded and start growing. So that's all I would add there.
That's perfect. Yeah. So I put Sam's contact information. That's one thing we've always been good about over at AccrueMe. I mean, you can hit Rob at AccrueMe.com, Sam at AccrueMe.com. We're always here to help. I mean, I usually don't deal most of the time with the customer, so Sam's usually the right contact. But if you have a question you want to answer or answered, not everybody's always comfortable throwing a question up in public forum like this. We did have something come up. Let's see. Oh, it was just a couple highs, and so that was cool. But yeah, if you do have any questions, get a hold of Sam. Or better yet, go fill out that free 3-minute estimate, and Sam or Don will get a hold of you, and they'll answer all the questions before you have to go any further. Before you have to commit to anything, we're going to make sure that you're comfortable. I think that's one of the key things we always done is make sure that people are comfortable. We're dealing with money, and we want to make sure that you're definitely comfortable on this. David said hi. We appreciate that, David. Yeah, so we're just wrapping up. So again, hit up Sam, and be sure to go check out that video. The video that Sam did over at AccrueMe. I think it says why AccrueMe is at the top tab. Click on that. Watch this 9-minute video. Full detail. You probably want to pause it and look in there, because like I said, we are showing actual numbers. How much AccrueMe made from this deal. How much the people who got the money, Sam and Joy, from us made with this. It's a very, very in-depth case study. And Sam, absolute pleasure having you on finally. It took us a little while, but great having you on the podcast. And be sure to tune in every Tuesdays and Thursdays, everyone. And Sam, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Rob.